Okay, good.
I don't know what that was.
You're here.
We are recording the meeting, that's what.
Oh, okay.
Tim isn't here.
Okay. Approval of the prior minutes. I sent out, everyone had the prior minutes sent to them prior to the meeting. Does anyone have any additions and or corrections to the minutes, or do you need time to read them now?
I have one addition. This is Rich. This is the May 4th minutes. Is that correct, Mike?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I should be listed on the present. I'm mysteriously
Uh-oh.
not present.
And we would never allow that to happen. I'll make sure that happens. All right.
Thank you, sir.
Anyone else?
Sorry about that.
It's okay.
Anyone else have additions and or corrections?
I think the Jim under the subcommittee recycling report is Jim Mayhew.
I think it is also. I
Yeah.
have a thing that I have to say that to, but it is Jim Mayhew.
How do you spell that?
Oh, God.
Mayhew.
Or spelling's not useful.
Yeah. I was majored in a lot of things, but English was not one of them. Anything else?
Make a correction.
Can we have a motion
She didn't see him.
to accept the minutes as amended?
I will so move. This is Rich.
Okay,
I'll second.
we have, okay. Mike Copel, aye. Amy,
Aye.
Rich,
Rich, I.
Eric,
Aye.
Wendy,
Aye.
and Rebecca.
Aye.
So it is unanimously passed. Good, we are moving right along. All right, we have a guest. Eric, would you like to introduce the person from Big Belly?
Yes, I think we have two women, Erin Griffin and Amanda Katsarikas. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Yes, you did perfectly.
Okay.
It's a tough one.
And they represent Big Belly, the solar powered trash compactors. How's that?
Sounds great. Do they need us to somehow give them control or anything, or they're just gonna?
Oh, yeah. They need to.
I can share my screen perfectly fine from this, so no need to hand over any controls over to me.
Okay,
I'll
that's
share it
fine.
now and just let me know when you're able to
no,
see
no,
it.
no, 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 go for it. I just,
All righty.
yeah, I have, my knowledge of this is okay, but not spectacular.
No problem. Actually, I lied. It looks like it says host disabled attendee screen sharing.
I will take care of that. Hold on just a
Okay.
moment.
Yeah.
Amanda. So do both of
problem.
you need?
No, just me, just Amanda. Perfect. Let me get this up.
Look at that.
All righty. Well, thank you so much for having us on. I will jump right into, I have a short presentation for you guys, and then we'll leave it open to any questions. But just to kind of introduce ourselves, we've been in the smart waste industry for about 17 years now, and we are the world's leader. We work with a variety of markets, but originally started with municipalities to help improve the quality of life while eliminating the unappealing aspect of public space waste. So down below here, you can see a few of our example customers. So we're deployed out in Amsterdam, New York City, Philadelphia, Harvard, MIT, Virginia Tech, Charlotte Airport, Wegmans, and Gillette Stadium. So those are just a few of the different markets we work with. So these are sort of the reasons why people reach out to Big Belly. So first is just, keeping a clean and healthy public space. So our design is completely enclosed. I always think of it like a mailbox feature with what goes into the Big Belly stays in it. So this ensures just a very clean public space by eliminating overflows, windblown litter, pest and bird access, water contamination, anything that just dissuades people from area and
Oh,
every
you're frozen.
You're frozen and echoing.
Ooh.
Never a good sign. Did we lose her?
no.
No, she's still there.
Oh,
Did we lose you, Amanda?
She's still on my handy list. But that's
You need to drop the video.
oh,
Yeah, Amanda, why don't you try turning your video off?
I think we just lost her.
Okay,
Wait a minute, she's back.
perfect.
That's Aaron.
I think.
Looks like she just signed on maybe without her video, so maybe that will be better.
Yeah, I don't see her video on. Oh, there we are.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
We can.
Yes.
yes.
Yes,
Yes.
much better.
Perfect. All righty.
Wonders of technology.
I know, it's amazing, isn't it? So I'll jump into this middle section right here. So next is just increasing the productivity for the staff and just helping reallocate that time spent on waste collections to more meaningful work in the area. So the units hold about 150 gallons of waste and send real-time status updates to the collection staff to let them know when a bin is full and ready to be collected. So because of this, we see an 80% reduction in collections, which allows 80% of the time to be reallocated to more meaningful work in the area. And lastly is sustainability. So we work alongside you to help any community green initiatives and start to see meaningful diversion rates. We find that humans are just creatures of habit. So by providing a recycling program at each spot, it just helps them adapt to it. And also from the added effort on our end, it gets them to educate themselves and choose which bin to toss into. So those are just sort of the three main things that Big Bellies you'll find helps benefit communities with. I'm gonna jump into our hardware section. So these are the two types of units we offer. We have a high capacity solar compactor here on the left, and on the right is a standard capacity non-compactor. So both units are completely self-powered. They're smart. They're sensing to let you know when they're full, GPS enabled so you know exactly where they're located, and connected to cellular data. So starting with the high capacity solar compactor, it holds 150 gallons of waste and it operates through the solar panel on top, which trickle charges a battery inside the unit. The way it works is that there's actually two sets of sensors on the side of the bin. So as trash keeps filling up, once those sensors are blocked, the compactor knows when to start. In terms of weight, it doesn't compact it into a cube, but just presses the air out to accumulate more space. It's just like if you were stepping on the waste itself. Because we work with so many municipalities, we have to stay within the unit weight regulation for waste pickup. So it should weigh between 35 to 40 pounds, depending on, of course, what's being tossed in there that day. The next is the standard capacity non-compactor on the right. So this unit is non-compacting, but it still holds about 50 to 60 gallons and notifies you when it's full and ready to be collected. So the only difference is that it doesn't have the solar compactor inside of it. But both units last about 8 to 10 years. That tends to be the average lifespan of the Big Belly. That doesn't mean that it doesn't last longer. We still have some units on the ground that are 12, 14 years old that people just love and take care of very like it's their own children. So it's great to see. Now, I'm going to take you through our software very briefly. So because the units are smart,
and use cellular data just as if we were texting on our phones. They communicate important information to our servers, and you can view all this info in the software, which is called Clean. So just like the image to the right, the Big Belly senses when it's full. It communicates through the cloud and sends you notifications where you can open it on a web browser, through the app. You can get email notifications. It's very customizable. Now going a little further into it, Clean is basically our centralized dashboard. It lets you know what's going on with everything. All you need to access it is a username and a password, just as if you were logging into Facebook or your email account. It's very customizable for whoever has access to it. So per se, if a collector just wants to get a notification when the bin is full, we can just set that up and vice versa. I'm not sure if it'll let me scroll in, but I'm just gonna test
You're
it out.
doing great. Yep.
Perfect. So I know the image is a bit blurry, but I'll lead you through it. This is just a screenshot of what that software looks like. So it's our main dashboard. This account is for New York City Alliance of Downtown New York. Down below here, it says their deployment map. So it lists every single Big Belly that they have and where it's located. Above that is the collection list. It lists out how many of those bins are ready to be collected and even breaks it down between trash, bottles and cans, and paper. Of course, by the point of reducing collections is calculating your baseline, so how often you're collecting now, and reducing that by 80%. So once we gather that data and insert it here, we'll keep track of how you guys are doing in terms of collection efficiency. We calculate your recycling diversion rates, total gallons saved. So this just pretty much gives you a feel of what it'll look like on each screen, whether it's your computer, the web browser, a tablet, or the Clean app. Now, just something to go back to what I referenced about the weight inside the Big Belly. If a bin ever gets too heavy, especially depending on which season it is, because I know you guys are a big hot spot over there, we can actually switch the fullness threshold level. So instead of collecting it when it's 80% full, we can reduce it to 60% full, so it notifies you sooner if the bins ever do get to tend heavy in a specific area. So the next two slides are just two customer success stories I provided that are pretty much similar to you guys in terms of population and just the traffic you guys get, especially in the summertime or even the wintertime for skiing. So first is Block Island in Rhode Island. They are a most recent customer and they're pretty similar to size when it's on their off season, but when those tourists come in, it like triples, quadruples. They piloted about one double set, but quickly expanded through a solar initiative grant that Block Island has over there. It's to keep, Block Island clean, reduce carbon emissions, and start implementing recycling. So before Big Belly, they were collecting about 21 times per week per bin, and they reduced collections specifically in their Old Harbor district to once, maybe twice, depending on the location, per week per bin. So that's about a 94% reduction in collections. And with introducing recycling, they've seen a 47% recycling diversion rate. And last is Barnstable, Massachusetts, a town out on Cape Cod. They've been a customer since 2014 and deployed about 21 solar compactors in their parks, beaches, and downtown areas. Their key drivers were to eliminate litter, keep waterways and public spaces clean and beautiful, as well as reducing their collections to be able to reallocate staff to more meaningful tasks. And they've been able to do that by having a collection reduction of about 83% in the area. So some really great results from two very hotspot areas, I'd say. So that is pretty much all I had for you today. I know we have a few more minutes for any questions and running through any issues there was for technology-wise.
Open for questions. This is a very open type committee. If anybody has any questions, feel free to just voice them, jump in.
I have a question for the solar compactors. Do they have to, is there a certain amount of sun they have to get per day? Like a lot of the waste receptacles we have are in varying places near buildings where there's shade.
Yeah, no, great. I love this question. So the solar compactor, it just needs to see the sky, so it doesn't run off direct sunlight. So it just would need to be able to see the sky. We designed it so it doesn't, for popular cities where, you know, there's skyscrapers, there's awnings. So as long as it gets some daylight throughout the whole day, and especially since there's a battery inside of it, it'll run off of that. But we have a program called Skip a Cycle. So it won't compact, it doesn't need the sun or solar power to compact until it actually is full. It needs to be compacting. So it doesn't just randomly run throughout the day. It only does it when it needs to.
You indicated that it is got a battery power and just in case. What about snow? We are in a snow belt, hopefully. I mean, we can have well over 100 inches of, hopefully. Tim, you hear me? Hopefully. Well over 100 inches of snow a year. What
Yeah,
happened? There's snow on it.
great question. So we are based out in Massachusetts too. So I totally feel you about the snow. So if snow's on top of the solar compactor, it typically, you can still have snow on there for 3 weeks because it still has the energy inside of it to keep charging and to keep compacting. As the collectors are going out on their daily route, we just always recommend to wipe it off on top if they ever see that the snow's really piling on top of the compactor. So it doesn't mess up any type of functionality of the unit. And if it were ever to, you know, get a ton of snow and no one could get out there, the system, let's say after 3 weeks, the system will notify us, letting us know that, you know, there's energy deficiency on that specific station. So it'll be a-okay.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Did you provide Erit or anyone else with a price list or any other pricing information?
I believe we just spoke about a few estimates for the solar compactor for waste only.
Okay.
Okay, one question for you, Amanda, is tell us about the bears, animals. Is it bear proof? What do you think about that?
Yeah, great question. So the thing about with bears is that, you know, you never really know what they're going to do. So I can't say that the units are bear proof, but what I can say, depending on kind of what you guys are doing currently, whether it's odors that the bears are attracted to, the Big Belly will make sure that there's no odors or any visible ways to attract the bears. But whether a bear comes into the area, it's tough to say that it would withstand the strength of a bear. But I'll see if Aaron has.
Or worse, a moose.
No. You guys get a lot of mooses up there too.
We do have moose that periodically come down and visit us.
Into town.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Aaron,
I have
deter-
Amanda, this is Rich. I have a question. First, thank you for your presentation. It was very informative. Can you give me a sense, or give us a sense, excuse me, a sort of a standard type of contract that you have with either a municipality or a private entity that would install the compacting solar units?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for that question, Rich. I'm going to pass that over to Aaron. I know he has a much better answer than I do.
Sure, definitely. So the way that Big Belly works in terms of purchasing stations is there's really three main ways that you can acquire the Big Belly stations. One is through a capital purchase where it would include the stations and the software. It's bought kind of as an upfront fee, and then you have the stations under your ownership for the life of the units. The second option is something called our Connect Services program, which is a monthly service program that would include the stations, the software, installation, a full warranty, cleaning and inspection annually. and that's paid on a monthly fee. Big Belly would own the stations and kind of has the burden of maintaining them, making sure that there's no technology obsolescence with the units or anything like that. That's typically done as a 60-month contract, but can be extended or shortened to as little as 3 years if needed. And then the third option is kind of a mix between the two, called our Flex program. And what that is if you had some sort of capital funding now and wanted to pay for a portion of the hardware up front, you would own the equipment, but some of the functionality of the station is transferred into a monthly fee. And it would come with the same inclusions as that Connect program, but would have kind of a mix between that capital and owning the equipment and a monthly service cost.
Thank you, Erin.
Does that answer your
Is there a
question?
minimum? Is there a minimum number of units?
Sure. For the capital purchase and the Flex program, there's not. For the Connect program, there's not a minimum, but there is a discount at 10 components. So either 10 singles or 5 double stations.
Thank you.
No problem.
Who owns in Barnstable and the other one, who owns the units? Is it the municipality or is it a private company?
It is the municipality who owns those units.
The other, and that also applies to Block Island?
Yep, same for Block Island. It's the municipality that owns them.
Okay. What does a unit cost? Just ballpark,
Yeah,
ballpark.
a ballpark would be off of owning it and that upfront cost. It's about,
If I wanted to buy one and put it in my backyard,
you got it,
ballpark,
4,800.
perfect. That's what I needed to know. I mean, that's a ballpark.
Yeah.
It gives us a ballpark so that the powers that be, whomever that may be, can then figure out basically what we're talking about here.
Mm-hmm.
Is that cost for the compacting one or the non-compacting one?
That is for the compacting one, and that also includes 8 years of the software as well.
Okay.
I made that assumption. I'm sorry. I assumed that. Okay. Does anyone else have questions? That was great. Thank you very, very much. That
Yes,
was very,
thank you.
very interesting.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for having us. We appreciate
No, no problem. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Next on my agenda. What? Next on the agenda is here I have the recycling committee.
Yes,
Do you have anything you want to enlighten us with other than what was just enlightened?
yeah, I'm so glad you finally got to hear about the Big Belly trash compactor. I was hoping Tim would ask a question or two. And I guess we have time to think about how many we would.
Sorry, I disappointed you, Eric, but everyone was asking the right questions.
Excellent, okay. I guess we need time to think about a follow-up for that. As for the recycling group, I don't really have much except to say that we did our research regarding the cardboard balers. And we're not going to do anything for at least 2 years. So this option is being postponed for 2 years on that topic. As for our action items coming up, besides the Big Belly, some of us have been approached by residents and guests about where they can bring their recycling. And their recycling includes the recycling that's done in other towns and cities, glass, cardboard, etc. So one of the action items I have on my list is to talk to Campton Thornton about how open they may be to have a few people. This is not a crowd of people, just a few people coming to their facility and work out some kind of arrangement. Mark, if
Here, you might want to go and talk to Hannaford. My understanding, I haven't been there. I'll be there later this week and I'll check it out. My understanding is that somebody told me that Hannaford has expanded the amount of recycled materials that they will take. I'll
Oh.
check that out later this week. I'm going to go there
yeah,
anyway, and I will check that out and let you know.
that sounds like a great idea. And
Okay.
if that doesn't work out and people want to use Campton Thornton, if Mark thinks it's a decent idea, I could approach Steve Chioka and maybe talk to one of the select board there.
Well,
That's all.
Jared, are you talking about a pilot program where we had certain residents go down so that they could see? I mean, what do you mean by only a few people? We wouldn't
Well,
open this up to everybody?
we haven't heard from a horde of people. We've only heard from a few people who have an interest in dragging their bags of recycling. So if they don't have homes to go to in Massachusetts or wherever, and they are willing to go to Campton Thornton, so I thought perhaps we could talk to Steve Chioka and or one of the select board members that I'm already in touch with, if it's something that they would consider, these few residents from here using their facility to bring their cardboard, glass, etc. What do you think of that idea?
Well, what's the goal of it? Is it to see if Campton Thornton is willing to have more people go? Or
There-
is it just to let people recycle until we do something? I mean, what are you trying to accomplish?
Both, I would say both. I would say the ultimate goal is to keep the stuff out of our landfill. That's what the goal is here. And these people are very interested in not throwing everything in our dumpsters. They want to recycle, but if they don't have a second home, a town to go to, then they need something. So if it's something that is worthwhile considering, I would go and talk.
Well, I appreciate what you just said about keeping stuff from going to our landfill, but if you're talking 10 people, you're not going to be doing anything appreciable
Right,
by having them take their recyclables.
Right.
If you're doing 20 or 30 people so that Campton Thornton can see what the volume is that they get in from Waterville Valley, if they want to do that as
Mhm.
kind of a pilot,
Yeah.
and then open it up to everybody,
I see.
that's that might be meaningful. But I just
Right,
if we're just doing this to make a few people feel good and they're not going to charge us to do it, fine, then let them do that. And I'm not trying to be crass. I'm just saying, if you have a purpose to do it, then I think it's great.
Okay.
But I think you have to be I think you have to be really careful of saying, well, only these 10 or 12 people can do it and the other 450 can't.
Well,
I think that's an issue.
well, but only,
Go ahead.
but if you have if it's a purposeful pilot program, that's easy to explain to people why everybody can't go there yet.
Okay,
We're doing this to see how much is actually taken down there, right?
hmm
So I think you should kind of set it up so that you get a representation of folks to go down.
okay,
My worry is that you're going to get, if you pick 20 people who really want to recycle, that's not going to be representative of our entire population, right? You've got to kind of randomly choose these people
right,
and get them to commit to doing it.
okay,
I don't know what kind of data that's going to be usable we're going to get out of doing it.
This is
Yeah.
Rich, if I can comment.
Mhm.
I think if a person feels so disposed that about recycling that, frankly, Irit, I don't think you need to go down and for them. If they want to go to Campton Thornton and ask if they can drop their recycles there, that's between them and Campton Thornton. It seems to me. If we're talking about a pilot program, then I think we have to staff this out a bit more and talk through it as the number of people. And first, I think it would be important to see if Campton Thornton would be even interested in this.
Right.
Right.
And that would be more of I think, an official feeler if the committee and the select board want to pursue a program like that. And then we have to figure out the parameters of that program, as Mark was saying. But in terms of individual people, they can go on their own, it seems to me, and ask the folks in Campton Thornton if they can drop their recycle there.
Well, this is Jeff. I think there's a couple things. One is, as we learned from that incredible presentation, not every recycle item is profitable, right? So to think that, use a term, go to Campton Thornton and drop off your recyclables, I think the answer is they're going to say, go pound sand. If you go to them and say, hey, there are certain recyclables that are actually a net positive for the town, i.e. cardboard with the tape taken off, or glass or cans, well, that's a different question. And then we could all individually go to the town manager of Campton Thornton and say, I personally would like to buy a permit to use your transfer station so that I could recycle, which is one option. Or the committee could think about it and say, are we willing to officially contact them and say, would you be willing to take our cardboard for a fee, or would you be willing to take our cardboard once a month, or something to that effect? Because I think they probably don't want all these Waterville people randomly showing up at their transfer station and having to, make sure they're only bringing recyclables and that sort of thing. So that's kind of I think the general stuff you'd want to think about. But I think the question becomes, does the committee want to engage Campton Thornton on that? Or does the committee want to just say, hey, individuals, you're on your own?
I would think, if just putting myself in the shoes of a manager of another town, having a dozen individuals is a whole lot more annoying than having one representative who can then disseminate the information. So I think whether we call it a pilot program or I don't know, some pilot program is probably a fine way to approach it. But I think just having a single contact person would make the relationship better for the future.
Right. Well, thank you, Jeff, for that. This is only preliminary, so.
All right, so let me make a suggestion.
Sure.
My suggestion is that at our next meeting in July, you come back with a definitive proposal as to how many people we want to be able to do this, what items they would be able to take, and so on. And then we will decide whether it should be you, Mark, somebody from the select board, or whomever that should go and propose this to the Campton, Thornton, Ellsworth transfer station people.
Right.
That's my suggestion.
This is Rich. I would, sure, that sounds okay, but it may end up that Eric's going to do a lot of work, and the town, Campton Thornton's not going to be interested. So I think perhaps it's Mark, perhaps it's someone on the select board, approach and see if Campton Thornton is interested in a intermunicipal agreement based on, to do a pilot program. I think that would be the first step. Otherwise, Eric could end up spending a month putting a lot of stuff together, only to be told by the town, well, we're not interested.
I totally.
Okay, Mark,
let Jeff speak for a second, please.
I totally agree. And the conversation is as easy as saying, look, you know, we understand that there's certain items that are actually not a negative for you to take into your transfer station. And, you know, would you be willing to have a pilot where those items that are a positive for you, you'd be willing to take off our hands in some form or fashion? It could be, you know, once a month, it could be, you know, a lot of different ways that could operate, whatever would be easy for you.
Okay.
I don't
Mark,
think
is that something
it's
that
our
you would-
recyclables because that's going to be, they're going to say, look, we're trying to reduce the amount of waste. We heard that. We don't need more people.
Mark, is that something that you're willing to go and discuss with them?
Yeah, I would let Jim Mayhew and the transfer station supervisor, manager, start to work that out, and I'll contact the town administrators and find out if they would be willing to let us put together a proposal and seriously consider it. I don't want Eric to, I agree, Rich, that let's not have Eric do a whole bunch of work and then have them turn it down. I think we should find out if they're interested in letting us do it at all.
Perfect.
Perfect.
That sound good?
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you for that, Mark.
Eric, do you have anything else on your agenda?
I think that was it, unless Jeff needs to add something, or
No, I
Becca.
have a lot of recycles in my garage, so if we could get it done yesterday, that'd be better. No, I don't have anything else.
Becca, did you want to add something?
Well, I would. I think that we should stress the glass and the cardboard, since
Yes.
those are the two items that seem to be advantageous to recycle.
Yes.
And that might help us ease ourselves into getting Waterville Valley interested in it in another 2 years. If they're, it seems like a win-win situation for Campton and for us. But I think the glass and the cardboard are the two important items.
Yes, I agree.
Great idea.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, while it's not part of our official committee, I thought I should update the committee with regard to the two significant programs that the Sustainable Group is working on. Anna's not here, so I'll go through it. So far, the Trex, which is what I keep calling the clear plastic bags and so on, over 100 pounds in the month of May has been taken to the supermarkets. Now, let me put that in perspective. A 39-gallon bag, which is a big trash bag, weighs about 10 pounds.
Oh,
Yeah,
All
that's
right.
a lot of material.
that's
So-
great.
So put that in perspective, that in excess of 100 pounds in May did not wind up in our dumpsters. That's it with the Trex situation. With regard to the TerraCycle, there have been, and that's hasn't been weighed, that's just taken down to Subaru dealership, and two great big, we started that much later, two great big 39-gallon bags, and you can go in the wigwag and we list out everything that it can be done there. Two great big trash barrels have been bags have been taken down to Subaru with that. So basically, we're
Rolling.
what we're doing, what that group has done has been pretty significant in getting that stuff done. The other thing that is there, which will be coming out shortly, is that we did a reusable grocery bag program, and over 100 bags have been ordered. And some of those will be sold over at with Wendy and at Jugtown, and the rest of them are people that have bought them to support the town and take things over, and we're pretty happy with that as well. So just to update what's happening with those, and we're pretty happy with the progress we're making there. Subaru has been pretty good. They're going to give us some stuff, some crayons and colored chalk and other things for the school because we're doing it. So it took some negotiation, but they're giving us something, and something is better than nothing. So they're pretty good.
Nice job.
Yeah, we're moving forward on that. Wendy? Wendy,
Yes, I'm here.
you're here, and I'm going to pick on you
Okay.
because you are the goddess of composting.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Well, you know more about this, I mean, from the outside the box, and I know that others have been working with you on it, but I felt I should let you espouse on it.
Okay, well, very much a work in progress still. I had a really nice conversation with Joan Cudworth. She's a municipal solid waste person in Hollis. And she's very enthusiastic about composting. So I had a really nice conversation with her. What gave me the most hope was their space is 10 foot by 10 foot, and it's more than sufficient for what they're doing. So because, I know we still have a long way to go and a lot of things to work out, but the idea that we need an acre plus to do the composting is, well, moved to the side.
Yeah.
The other thing that she was talking about, which is not in session right now, but will be, is the Maine composting school. It's run by University of Maine Outreach and a couple other organizations, but it's a Monday to Friday type of classroom / visiting composting facilities type of deal. It's very reasonably priced, and she and some other members from the town had gone and said it was well worth it. So there are definitely options. I'm still looking at, I'm researching what we can do in a condo type situation, like where I'm at as far as household recycling, composting. And I can't help but think that it might be worthwhile to get, I don't know, a questionnaire out there. In Keene, they had done a kind of a mass buy of backyard composters to keep the cost nice and low for those with single family homes or situations where they could put a composter in their backyard. The town helped with an installation. There were the green cones. They're kind of a very, very low maintenance composting option. So perhaps it'd be worth putting out a questionnaire, see if there's interest in that type of thing, to kind of encourage folks to do it on their own where they can. That's about all I've got.
Yeah, just the other thing that with regard to composting that kind of fell in my lap was to see whether or not the Forest Service would lend us some land for us to compost. I kind of kept being kicked up the ladder, and they finally said to me, no, we wouldn't, because if we do it for you, we have to do it for everyone. And because as soon as they know you're doing it, everyone else that has access to the Forest Service, forest land is going to want it. So.
And how horrible for everyone to be composting in a national forest. Oh, it's a work.
What a terrible thing. But that's before we knew how little space we needed. All right. If we're only looking at 100 square feet, that's a lot less than I think any of us thought we needed. And that's kind of
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, it's very much a learning process, and of course going along with the town's prioritizing the wastewater treatment and how the campus is going to get reorganized.
How many people in Hollis participate in that 100 square foot area?
She didn't have a strong percentage. She guessed maybe 30% of the people. But they have in their transfer facility, they've been really pushing the education. They have like this Pac-Man thing that sort of talks about composting, and whenever there's public meetings, she passes around bags of vegetable scraps so people can see how heavy they are. There's a lot of interpersonal education happening, which would have to be part of what we do as well, probably.
This was we are definitely learning more and more about this.
That's a
Wendy
town
and
of-
some other people. What?
That's a town of 9,000 people.
Yeah, it is. I mean,
Yeah.
Hollis is not a small town.
30% of that, that's quite a bit.
Yeah.
It's like almost 3,000. It's almost like 3,000 people. I find that amazing that they can do it in 100 square feet.
Yeah.
In my town in Winchester, there's a company in the North Shore that goes around and picks up,
Yep.
cans of compost. But one question is, we just want to make sure that we're not creating an issue with bears or that sort of stuff. Just
I'm
keep
sorry.
asking that question.
It's I'm sorry. I'm looking. It's 8,000 people. Not 9.
All right, so it's
Yeah.
only 2,500 people.
It's still a very.
That's a lot. That's a
sizable
lot
town.
of people in 100 square feet.
Yeah.
I mean, that and I wonder if they allow commercial people. I'm like, I asked Sean
I
Stout.
got the impression there wasn't a lot of business participation.
Yeah,
and
I
it is
asked Sean-
strictly vegetable scraps.
Yeah.
Well, I
very
asked Sean Stout, all right, from the Coyote. I said, give me a ballpark
No.
on a fairly busy week. How much organic waste do you have? And he told me 1,000 pounds, which shocked the hell out of me. But maybe it should, when I go there, when you look at the number of people that are there on a busy weekend. So, but that's just, just so we put that in perspective. I'm assuming that, the other restaurants and everything else would not be dissimilar. But just, we're still learning. And we're moving forward in it, and Wendy's doing a great job. Kudos to Wendy. I got to give you kudos.
Let's wait a couple years, see how it all pans out.
Okay, we're moving forward. Privilege of the floor. Is anybody on the floor? Tim?
Yeah,
You
can you hear
have
me?
You have anything insightful to say? You
I do
You always do.
Can you hear me now? Are
Yes.
you able to
I
hear
can
me?
hear you now, yes.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, I've been a composter for well over a decade now, and I've never filled up my 35-gallon bin. Never once have I filled it all the way to the top. It is incredible how well it works, and how well it naturally breaks down all of all of the vegetables and everything you put in there. But the key is to make sure that you do it right. No meats, try to keep the leaves down, try to keep it. So if it does get wet, you put leaves in, things like that. And it works very, very well. But it does take a huge educational aspect to it. But it breaks down an amazing amount, and it takes very little space. I will say that.
This is over at your house, Tim?
Yeah, and the first time it ever got knocked over by a bear was last night.
Oh,
In all the years I've been here, the first time it got knocked over a beer was last night, and it's really not a big deal. I needed to flip it anyways, so it was time. So it really wasn't a big deal. I think he kind of helped me out, to be honest.
oh,
Do you mind if a couple of us come over one of these days and
You want to look at my composting
I
barrel?
promise not to. I won't knock it over, Tim.
It's right outside my house. It's right outside my front door. It doesn't smell. There's no order to it. There's nothing to it. And we do all of our vegetables in it, all of our eggs, our egg shells, things like that, the stuff you're allowed to compost. But to Wendy's point, it does take a very high amount of education because people want to throw their meat products and things like that in there, and that's what ruins a compost bin.
My magnificent wife wants to know if you can do coffee grounds.
Yeah, coffee grounds are really good for it, actually.
Okay.
Coffee grounds are extremely good for it.
Dad, is that why you drink coffee?
Did you hear him in the background?
Yes.
Yeah. I
Yes,
did.
exactly. To keep my compost good. That's why I drink coffee. Yes.
Can you do a composting area at the mountain?
No, that's on National Forest Service land.
Yeah.
Figured I'd ask.
I actually asked that question when I was talking to the Forest Service, whether or not they did it. And I probably shouldn't have asked the question because as soon as you ask it, you now can't deny asking. But
Oh.
yeah, it would not be a wise thing for the resort to do.
They're very sensitive to contaminants on the lands. So I think if you were somehow able to get past the whole idea of having, compost on national forest, you would have to get by the biologist. And I don't think you'd ever get by the biologist with composting on National Forest Service lands.
That's actually who I spoke to. It was a fourth person that I spoke to over at the Department of the Interior. And that's basically when they just said no.
No.
So, but it was an interesting time up until then.
I'm sure it was.
dealing with the Forest Service and the
So just so you guys know
Department
the math on that big belly, just so we're clear, the $4,800 for 8 years in a service plan will break down to about $50 per month. So I'm imagining their monthly fees probably somewhere around $100 or so. Is that right? Does anyone have that number?
I don't have that number.
Okay. I'm just assuming that's where it'd probably be. It'd probably be double what the cost.
yeah,
upfront
and then multiply that times the ones we would need. But we can talk about that more at length.
Yep.
Sure.
Well, it's also really good once you start recycling, right? Because then you got a built-in vehicle to separate stuff.
Right. Or in place of recycle. Yes. If so state.
In place.
Okay. I try very hard to not abuse people for the 1 hour that I have them. So we continue to put off mission statement. The next thing that is really important, I think, is I know some of the committees are beginning to meet in what I call hybrid method, which means that a quorum, in our case, 4 people, have to meet up at the town hall or somewhere, and everybody else can continue to do Zoom. We would do both because we would continue to have Zoom available for people that are not members, which would be my suggestion. If people want to continue to do Zoom exclusively, that's fine too. Do people have any feeling about that? Wow.
I let each subcommittee decide its own procedures.
Well, the subcommittees are fine, but I mean, I'm talking about the committee as a whole.
This committee.
This
Oh,
committee.
well
the big
then
committee.
it's time to, I think, do what the boards are beginning to do now, which is meeting in person with hybrid if needed.
That's my feeling, is that a hybrid should be there, that we ought to do meeting in person for everyone that can so do it. There might be some people that are out of town or whatever, or for whatever reason, still do not feel comfortable, but that we should be doing in-person hybrid methodology would be my suggestion, unless people feel strongly otherwise.
Okay.
Agreed.
Agreed. Hybrid.
We can
Okay.
hybridize.
All right, my handy dandy calendar says the first Tuesday in July, I think, is the 6th. Unless I have the wrong calendar.
That is correct.
Wow, I got lucky. Does anybody have a problem with the 6th?
I do. I have to be in Concord at an appointment, but you don't need me.
I always need you. We'll take John instead.
Okay.
All right. But is everyone else okay with that? Then we will move forward with the 6th in a hybrid method.
Okay.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Mike, can I raise a point before? Oh, I see
course.
Wendy. Did you have a point too, Wendy?
Oh, just to clarify, are we meeting at the town hall at 4 o'clock, July 6th?
Yes.
Okay. That was all.
I mean, you can do it at my house if you want, but I mean, I think town hall is.
The point I like to raise, Mike, is I think perhaps we should have a workshop before then. I think it would be very useful for Mark to present an operations overview of how we actually do municipal solid waste collection here in the valley. I think having that baseline for everybody, that knowledge would be, I think, very important when including some of the costs that we are faced with. And I think some of the tasking that the select board would like the committee, the Municipal Solid Waste Committee to take a look at.
So you're suggesting, what I think you're suggesting is a joint workshop of this committee and the select board.
No, it could just be a workshop for this committee. I can represent the select board if any other select board members want to join.
Well,
We've
we
had
would-
the briefing. We
can invite them.
Yeah,
All right.
it's just a public workshop to learn about how Water Valley does its thing. So everybody on the committee or anyone who wants to attend will understand how we do it here.
Yeah, and
Now,
to
would-
that point, Rich, it could even be interesting if we could get like a field trip to back where like the trees and yard waste are put. I mean, I know people tend to leave everything at the transfer station, and the guys have to lug mattresses or whatever.
That's right.
Dispose of.
I was going to suggest that we do it up at town hall for that reason.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we can break and go up there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
we can
whole
either-
up there.
We can either go up there or I'll have photos, whatever, however you want to do it. If you want to walk up there, that's awesome. Then you can see everything.
Whatever's easier for you, Mark, I think is the way to go. I mean,
Yeah, I think walking around would be great.
Great
Mark,
idea.
can you send us 3 or 4 days, starting like 2 weeks from now, 2 and 3 weeks from now, the 2nd and 3rd week of June, when you are available and there are not other people using downstairs?
Could we do it July 6th, the
Yes.
day of the next meeting?
Well, then that would sort of eat up the whole agenda, I think, Amy.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll have other
That-
things to
that would
talk
be my
about.
problem, is that would
Yeah,
take the whole,
I would,
unless you wanted to do it before.
So Mark, how long do you think it would take?
Oh, you're muted.
You're muted, Mark. You're muted, Mark.
I have to find Mark.
well, my bar wasn't working, sorry. I think it'll take
20.
somewhere around a half an hour or so, especially if we're walking. So half an hour to 45 minutes. I would rather do it separate from your regular meeting,
Mhm.
just so we don't cut it short, so that you can ask all of your questions.
I agree with that.
I would like to do it, if possible, the week of the 21st or the week of the 14th, because I won't be here the week of the 28th.
All
Earlier
right.
Better for me.
Okay, so you guys,
Let's take, does people care whether it's the week of the 14th or the week of the 21st? Does anybody have a significant problem with either week?
The week of the
Chances-
14th would just be a bit easier for me, but I could work with either.
Probably like on a Friday or Monday would be better for me.
how about Monday, the 14th? Does that work for everybody?
At what time?
4 o'clock.
Okay,
Flag
Monday,
Day.
the 14th at 4 o'clock.
All right.
Everybody wear your flag pins. It's
Yes.
Flag Day.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes, it's Flag Day, and wear your bug repellent.
Oh,
Yes, especially up there.
Yeah.
I can't guarantee I'll be there, but that's okay.
But we could hybrid the meeting. I mean, if you're available on the 14th.
The walking
Well, I mean-
tour?
No, not the
No,
walking,
but
tour,
not the
but just
one, but
the
meeting,
presentation.
The presentation in while we're at the, while we're at downstairs.
But we could take a little video of the area.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can
We
hear
have
the
iPads,
conversation.
we have iPhones and iPads
Right, and no bugs.
and no bugs.
Perfect.
yeah.
I'm sorry,
Okay,
what was that time again on the 14th?
4 o'clock.
14th at 4 p.m.
Got it.
And Amy, if you want to set something up, I can walk you around before or after,
Thank you.
so you can see it.
Thank you.
All right.
Anything else, people? Can we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Mike Capel, aye. Amy,
Bye.
Rich,
Rich, I.
Garrett,
Aye.
Wendy,
Aye.
Rebecca.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right, see you later.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.